today is the big day.
Woo, so excited.
We're now just on our way to pick up our new personal vehicle. Exciting! We have finally decided, yes. And it will be a very interesting one, I can promise. But we also want to tell you how we did get there. And it was kind of a little bit unexpected because it was not like 100% the choice we had initially.
It was really difficult, yeah.
It was kind of like a surprise to us as well. It's not the car we're driving here at the moment, by the way. This year, the smart #5 Brabus.
But also cool car.
Very nice car,
yeah.
but the consumption is too high. But let's quickly make a recap how that decision came to play. And that is also very interesting because for us, it was kind of like a mix of which car did we want, where was the big deal, like the greatest offer, because that's also important, and also not to neglect at all, where did we get the best service? Which one was the nicest dealer? Like the personal side of the things. And that is so important, and manufacturers often forget that, how important that is, how good the dealer is actually, and how good the service is. So where did we start? Initially, I thought, hey, let's get something more comfortable, and Leah agreed.
Yeah.
Something more comfortable for long term because we are also inside Germany, maybe to the borders of Germany, some other European countries, do some longer haul driving and then need something more comfortable than our current Audi S5, the convertible.
But not so large and not so big. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
not so long.
That was
for all
was
the parking lots, you know.
That was Leah because you know,
because
the S5,
we don't live in the US, so
yeah, in the US, Leah said like X7, 7 Series, fine, you know. So
but not in Germany, no.
I thought about like which car really impressed me in our driving reviews, and that's why I initially got the Audi S5 convertible at that time, and one more car that counted for that was really the BMW 7 Series. And I really loved that vehicle. However, then Leah said, parking lot, basement garage.
Not that good.
And of course she's right.
Yeah.
Of course she's right with it. Even though I love the 7 Series. So I kind of like, okay, maybe not. So I thought, maybe a used BMW 5 Series, G30, G31, the estate, or a used Mercedes E-Class. Aiming about like 30,000 euros range or something like that. And we were visiting some dealers to get some used car insight and so on, and both great vehicles, definitely also the year from the previous generations. And we were really closely looking into that, and also Audi A6 and Audi A7, the used ones, the previous generations.
And E-Class.
E-Class, so also the E-Class, the used generation, definitely. When we went to an Audi dealer, and we found out that the seats are really not that comfortable in comparison to new BMW 5 Series seats, or new generation. And the same also accounted for the G30 and G31. And I thought like, wow, in the all new BMW 5 Series, which can be criticized for many things, which they had in the G30, like they don't have like the split glass roof in the back for the estate and so on, and other stuff. But the seats are way more comfortable, I felt, and Leah as well.
Yep.
And then at the same time, BMW released some great offers for the 7 Series. And like 7 Series for 420 euros net for business customers, like with the lowest kilometer rate and so on. Like what?
Yeah.
Like,
Thomas
no way,
like,
no
we
way.
We need that. Oh my God, it's so nice.
And I was going to Leah, 7 Series for that. I mean, how can you say no for the 7 Series, 400 something euros?
Yeah, and he's right.
And
it's a great
without
offer.
payment up, okay, like when you do some equipment and then you add like, like that you get to 10,000 kilometers a year, then it was not 420 euros, but a little bit more expensive, but still like around 600, 700 euros, something like that. And without payment up front, it's a no-brainer, you know. But then we also found, there are good offers for the 5 Series, which is a little bit shorter. And let's also compare the E-Class offerings for like new cars, because then I thought, why would we go for a used 5 Series or E-Class when we can get the new one for such a low leasing rate? That doesn't make sense to buy used. And let's say buying a used Audi we didn't have the best experience with that. If you might remember, we really put a lot of money into the S5 because so many things broke.
Hard story, yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one. And then they say, okay, let's get an offer for the 5 Series and for the E-Class. And that was like, whoa, crazy, because they were both then like with equipment and higher kilometers and something, maybe like towards like 600-700 something euros net. Still good offers, but then BMW, no payment up front. Mercedes, 14,000 euros payment up front. So that was the difference. Like, no, even
For what? Yeah.
yeah, I mean the E-Class has better suspension,
Yeah.
for example, and is more silent than the 5 Series on the motorway especially. But for 14,000 euros more, no way.
And
you
the
know?
seats are not that good.
Exactly,
Like in
exactly. 5
5
Series
Series.
seats are also,
Yeah.
And because one of the favorites cars for Leah, and also mine, was, and is still definitely, the Mercedes GLC.
Yeah.
And we're still thinking of getting that one because the leasing we did now.
Only 1 year.
Yeah, only 1 year. So we can decide new quite quickly again. GLC is still on the table, but the Mercedes offers were not good at all. BMW offers were like way cheaper, and we want also a good deal, you know. So then E-Class and GLC were kind of like off the table. Then still thinking of, okay, buying used and, you know, keeping it. Toyota and Lexus are still good for the reliability, long-term reliability. But then again, the offers from BMW were very good. We also thought about the Porsche Panamera. We had it here in this nice lavender tone. Leah loved that. And I mean, pretty cool car, definitely.
Yeah,
but Porsche,
totally overpriced.
Totally overpriced.
Sorry to say that, but
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's true,
Yeah.
it's true. So then the Porsche was off for the moment. Then we of course also thought about like the size of the vehicle and maybe also going all electric. And Leah's most favorite vehicle for driving at this moment is BMW 3 Series and 4 Series.
Yeah.
And you guys also told us, hey, get an M340i or something. And Leah's like, awesome. However, the seats of the 3 Series and 4 Series are good, but not as good as in the 5 Series or X3,
Yeah.
X5,
Because we are
7
both
Series.
very tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're not as tall as us,
Then it's good. Yeah.
then it's fine, exactly. So we still love 3 Series and 4 Series, also considering like the 4 Series Grand Coupe, awesome car. I think 4 Series Grand Coupe, 3 Series i4 is one of the best overall cars to buy at this moment when you consider everything, driving fun, you know, chassis and everything. But we want a little bit more comfortable seats for long haul. So then the ID7, VW ID7, also one of the best overall EVs at this moment. Great seats also, great comfort, good efficiency. However, then we sometimes have, not actually sometimes, very often have the case of going like 500 kilometers one day, like 250 kilometers one direction, having an event, going back 250 kilometers. And the ID7 and many other EVs could not do that without charging. And we want something like a car who could do that without charging. Then of course BMW iX3 and the new Mercedes GLC EQ got on the table. However, they were not available yet when we had to finally decide about that. So they are definitely like in the pot for the next car choice. So for going all electric, BMW iX3 and GLC EQ are at the moment hot picks, especially the BMW iX, because again, more comfortable seats and also a little bit bigger battery. How efficient they are, we still have to test the iX3 on the German Autobahn, and also the GLC EQ. The driving test is to be coming up in a couple of weeks, actually. So that will be really exciting. Then we've been thinking of course also, Leah also likes the BMW X5 or X6, me too. We also went to one of the BMW dealers and checked out size again and interior comfort, and that's also very interesting that the seating comfort looks better in the X5. The seats look more comfortable, but then the new ergonomic seats in the X3, they are actually more comfortable to sit in. That was a surprise. So, and then the question is, like living in the States, for example, the X5, you would have room to steer around, and also like, as I said, 7 Series. But like the size here of Mercedes GLC, BMW X3 or iX3 and so on, It's more fitting because also when we go to some car shows, we often have to go like in some basement garage, car parking lots.
Or for shopping.
Or for shopping, for example, yeah, of course. And then when you go like above a certain size, it gets a little bit tricky to put the car then in and out. And then when you have like high pavement or sidewalk at the side, left and right and so on, yeah, then it gets even trickier. So Leah was really right. Of course, she's the voice of reason here to not like go for the largest vehicle, although I like to drive large vehicles definitely.
Me too.
Yeah, but
it feels nice, but it's not so handy.
You need to have like the proper surrounding for that, definitely, you know. So, and then also another thought was I like to drive 6 cylinders, of course, when we still go petrol. But then again, the taxation rule in Germany, especially if you like self-employed, the thing is that if you do not pick a plug-in hybrid or do not pick a full electric vehicle, you basically waste money when you're self-employed, you know. So because in the taxes you have to pay for your private use per month is half with a plug-in hybrid or a quarter with full electric. So there's a high incentive taxation-wise to go either plug-in hybrid or electric, and there are also, you know, some good offers there. Yeah, because that was also the thought, like, do we go all electric yet or not? Or do we make somewhat of a compromise? And then, of course, it's about the good deal again, and with the dealer, because, you know, you already heard it, we thought about a lot of BMWs, and then I contacted the next BMW dealer, and at some point they just didn't reply anymore.
That was crazy, yeah.
And I was like, okay, so they don't want to sell cars.
Do you want to sell a car or?
Exactly.
What is that?
Exactly. And I think a lot of you guys can relate to that, and that also leads me again to the aspect of the manufacturers can do so much and do so great cars, but then the service at the dealer is, you know, not good. Or I mean, even Leah told me, for example, she's sometimes afraid to go into a car dealer because of the way she is treated as a woman.
Yeah.
That's why close to where we live, some women even opened a car dealer.
Only for women.
Yeah, basically led by, of course, men can also buy cars, but it's led by women because they knew they were afraid themselves to go into a car dealership because of the way you treat it. They're like from up above, and then like, you know nothing about cars, and that's why, you know, like, we pity you a little bit, you know, and it's just not suitable experience, you know. But then we saw like these great offers from the 7 Series and the 5 Series from another BMW dealer group, which is a little bit far away where we're going to right now. And, you know, I called them up, and then they were like completely different, you know, like so, you know, welcoming and so nice and great service, and just calculated a couple of different offers for me and with different equipment and so on. And there was always like customer first experience, and that is so key. You know, we also had like the other side with the Audi, for example, and with the Audi dealers, where the service was also like, when you have like used car and we have problems with warranty and so on, was also not really good, you know. So, and that's why, again, manufacturers have to pay attention to how good the dealers are. It's so important, so important. And yeah, there we definitely felt welcomed. So it was really like the thing of which cars did we have in mind, together with where do we find a good dealer and also a good offer. Because, yeah, I mean, GLC is still on the top of the list, but there was just not an attractive offer for this vehicle, you know, and we don't want to like throw money out of the window. That was also a key aspect. Did I miss any of the vehicles that were in consideration? Yeah, I think that list was quite complete now. Yeah, but then at the end of the day, we had great offer for a 5 Series, for a BMW X5, and also for a BMW X3. Another aspect was, of course, animal-free seats. We both want animal-free interior, and not all BMW models have the animal-free steering wheel yet. The iX3 has it, the X3 has it, the 4 Series has it, the 3 Series has it, the 5 Series has it. So these 5
but
do
not the
have
7
it now.
Series,
Not the 7 Series yet.
Because of the steering wheel.
Yeah, there will be a 7 Series facelift soon, where I expect that they will also offer an animal free seat. Let's see about that. Not quite sure yet, but we'll see about that. Yeah, and then we had to decide between these final offers. I know there's always the aspect here in the room saying, oh, Thomas is like a blind BMW fan, and that's not true. I don't have any specific brand preference. But the fun thing is really like from all like the past, like almost 2 decades of car driving there, it kind of had the effect that, you know, they were turning out to be somewhat the best in like the overall performance in the premium segment. And the funny thing was that also when Leah started working here with us, and I asked her after a couple of years, what impression do you have? Which brand would you actually go for at this moment?
Yeah. And then it was, I think, Audi, and then it was Mercedes, and then BMW. Yeah.
That's how she started.
Yeah, started.
You know, that was what she was thinking. But then she experienced.
But then now it's BMW, Mercedes, and then Audi.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And even you know, Jonas, our other cameraman, like the very tall guy, and he doesn't even have a driver's license. And I asked him, you know, after been driving also like 500 cars together with me in like so many years, which brand do you think is the best at the moment and has the best cars? He's like, BMW.
Yeah.
But
you can also tell us
as
your
a cameraman,
opinion. Yeah.
as a cameraman,
Yeah.
and not even having driven the vehicles,
Yeah.
that is astonishing. You know, so really no brand bias at all here. We treat every car the very same fair way. I do not care about brand image. I don't care when I drive a vehicle what people say around me. I don't care at all. But just from experiencing them, they have to improve stuff, definitely. That's
They're not
why.
perfect, yeah.
Yeah, and the recent BMW interiors, especially on the combustion inside, the iX3 is better now with the interior build quality and so on. Yeah. That was really, really important. So that's why also the BMW X3, for example, at first was kind of like off the table because we were thinking, they had made a lot of mistakes on the interior, from the interior build quality. You know, yeah, but at the end of the day, we had to decide between 5 Series, X5 and X3 because best dealer experience, best offers, clearly best offers, and still premium driving experience. The BMWs drive very well. There are a lot of new competitors, but they don't drive as good as the BMWs. And also that BMW has the most comfortable seats and also the best offer for comfortable seats as for animal-free materials. That was like our thought, like the key things. But now the question is, what's the final cost? Oh my God! And here we are at the dealer, and we have the key already. Let's see what it is. Ooh, can you guess? Can you guess? Maybe I give Leah the key fob, and now she can open the vehicle and you can take a look.
Now it's maybe clear, yeah.
So tell us in the comments if you would have guessed this early, what it actually is. And of course, we'll explain to you the decision once again in detail. Maybe let's unveil, right?
Yes.
There we go. Leah does it. Yay! There we go. Ooh. It's a BMW X3. It's a plug-in hybrid. So 2-liter 4-cylinder. Yeah, I didn't get my 6-cylinder, but plug-in hybrid to have like the compromise. Also test out how far we can drive electric, if we maybe go all electric at the next stage. And this is of course very good in Germany here for the taxation
and
benefits.
Guess who picked this color?
I mean, you see, I picked my clothing color accordingly.
I'm a little bit, yeah.
You a little bit, yeah, a little bit. This is like this dune sand color, and you know I'm more for Thomas blue. But Leah want to have something different in the color this time, and we first want to go for Brooklyn Grey.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's something
in the back, I think.
I think no, that's no, maybe in the very far back there. Yeah. You can see it maybe. But Brooklyn Grey is only with the M Sport package, and then you get the animal steering wheel. So we search for something different. The iX3, that's possible now. So if you would at some point maybe pick an iX3, then we would probably go for Brooklyn Grey. Yes. But this one here, the sand dune color, is
and the interior
special.
is very, very special.
Yeah, yes. I mean, first of all, you can see here, the Autogefühl number plate here. And meanwhile, you know, I think also look is pretty cool. At first we thought, maybe the older generation looks better, but we really like it meanwhile. Also here with the light signature, we also got here the illuminated double kidney in there. So that looks really striking. And now a quick tour here. First of all, exterior, then interior. So here, Leah looks stunning together with this vehicle, doesn't she?
Thank you so much. Oh.
Then here the wheels, 19-inch wheels. These are the smallest ones, actually. But they look
But it
actually...
don't look like that, yeah.
Exactly, because these are the aero wheels. Here, these black inserts. Then they're also bicolor, and that's why they appear larger than they actually are. No, I can't turn that one. So I think it's a good choice because we want more comfort, driving comfort. That's why we went for the smallest wheels, and they are also the most efficient ones. So we also like efficiency, but at the same time I think they look pretty cool. Then again, this dune sand color. On the exterior,
It's a little bit grey
different.
here in this
Yeah,
light.
yeah. Interior, it looks more grayish.
Yeah.
Exterior, it looks more sandish, definitely. But
I love it. Oh my god.
yeah, I think it really looks cool.
Yeah.
Lovely new color. The rear, you also have these new tail lamp signatures there. I think also
And a huge BMW logo.
yeah,
It's
that is
also
really
cool.
huge now,
Yeah.
There we go. And then here 30E is then the name for the plug-in hybrid. There we go. There were some things in the X3 to criticize on the interior,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah. But now the front.
But they also, made some changes there. Zoom on to that.
So you
quickly
need
again to the front.
this grille. It's stunning. Yeah.
Yeah. Illumination for there. Yeah, huge double kidney, definitely. This one is not M Sport, as we said, for interior reasons. Therefore, it always has the silver accentuations than here in the lower part, but I think it's also pretty cool.
Yeah.
Leah always wants to have the M Sport package.
Yeah, it's a little bit cooler, but I'm fine with that.
If we maybe at some point switch to the
maybe
iX3,
for the
then,
iX3.
then she can get one. So
Yes.
now to the interior. I can get used to Leah presenting, by the way. Looks definitely better than I would be
Do
doing
we
it.
need some light or is it fine?
Yeah, maybe some
Maybe
light.
some light, yeah.
So here, that's new. Here they now made high gloss black to make it more premium. Not sure if I agree to this decision, but here
We will
these
see, yeah.
these buttons, they look a little bit cooler now. And here, this one was just plain black. And this is more like a matte chrome finish. So
like
that is,
it.
that's an
It's
improvement.
more premium
That's an
now.
improvement. What I wish is definitely that they still add here some fabric at the inside of the doors. And then we picked here this bright interior.
And fits very well, I
Yeah,
think.
you
Yes.
can even see it with the seat soon. I didn't know that they have like copper accentuations as for the contrast stitching. We didn't know that, but I think it also looks quite cool. And now, I think it's even better visible when I come from here. So look at the outside color and then the color of the seats. We were kind of like gambling a little bit that it fits, but it's crazy. It's almost the same color,
Yeah.
Look at that. So it's rare that people go for the bright
Beautiful.
seats.
Oh, I'm
But
so
we
happy
love
now.
it. So we were also inspired by, let's say older US specs of like Mercedes SL, Porsche Cayenne, where a lot, or like older Lexus SUVs and sedans, where they picked like white exterior and then the beige seats. So this was a little bit of inspiration because it says like, summer or maybe desert, or boho style,
Yeah.
for example. Leah is totally into that.
Yeah.
As for interior decoration, that was the idea behind that, to have also something. The X3 is not like like super luxury screaming out, we are super rich car. We don't want that. We rather like understatement, but at the same time make it a little bit more unique than with the color and interior choice. That was like the idea behind it. And I think like that it's crazy
It's
how well
really
it matches
nice, yeah.
interior and exterior. So yeah, that was actually pretty cool already. There we go. How are you feeling?
Very, very good. It's very comfortable. Yeah. And I love the steering wheel.
It's a great material.
Yes,
Like, is this
yeah.
the animal-free material by BMW?
Really.
And it's
also
super
the
soft.
seats, it's super
Yeah.
soft.
Really
Look
nice
how
and
plush
soft.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was also a thing with the seating
And
comfort.
seat cooling and heating
Yes.
for these seats. Yeah.
That's what we also ordered, because then no matter if winter or summer, you're fine. Can cool it in summer, heat it in winter times. Yeah, so the great comfortable seating position. Oh, and look, the ambient lighting is also pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So I said
It's
already
Thomas
Thomas
Blue.
Blue.
Yeah,
At least I can
of
have
course.
Thomas
I switch
Blue
it to,
on the
Thomas
interior
Blue,
right
yes.
there. So that's cool. We do not have physical dials for the climate. So everything
No,
will be in the
that's
screen,
only in the screen.
right there. Yeah, could you
But at
even-
least you have here the huge
yeah,
turning
the
knob.
controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, the BMW.
I don't know why it's off.
iDrive
now.
control. Yeah, just ignition. There we go. So you can see here the screens. In the iX3, the screen is now a little bit more towards you. So here you have to see Lear has to reach over quite a lot then to the climate unit. That's one thing we have to swallow in that case. So we would like to have physical tiles, or at least that you can easily access them. So that's the one thing. So not everything is perfect. But at this point, for us, it was the perfect combination of great dealer service, nice
Great
car.
price.
Great price,
Yes.
great comfort, because now we pay about just about 600 euros net, like as self-employed, and then we have to put taxation on it for the private use. But that one, as I said, is 0.5% then per month on the gross price, because it's a plug-in hybrid in Germany, and it would be 0.25% if it's all electric. So if we would, for example, as next, because this one only goes a year, this lease here, if the next one would be an iX3, it could be 200-300 euros, something like that, more expensive, and would still be the same price because of the better taxation for the electric vehicle. So that's also something to consider, because now obviously you can order an iX3. Yeah, but I'm really amazed of the color is
very
fitting,
happy now,
because it is an unusual color combination, but we just want to dare something, because the car is not that daring as a choice. Then we want to have the color combination a little bit more daring, and I think it also looks really stunning. Then here with the blue,
With the blue.
with the blue and the ambient lighting together with that, that's actually pretty cool. So oh, by the way, here the dashboard, it is, it also is available with fabric, but we picked the leatherette dashboard. It's also pretty soft, great quality, easier to wipe, better with dust, and I think it also looks a little bit classier, more elegant. The iX3 at the moment only available with the fabric dashboard. Let's see, maybe at later stage, I would expect that when there's a model year change or facelift, they also offer something like that, because usually customers rather want to have this. We also had a great offer for BMW X5. That one, however, was quite larger, and we also did some trips then with like GLC or comparable size vehicles, and then we were in some parking garage, and then we both thought, oh, this is getting already narrow, and then we thought, wait a minute, if we would have an X5, X6, 7 Series or whatever,
too large for Germany.
Yeah. So this size of a car here is that we have great comfort, but at the same time, the size is not too large that we would have problems like in German parking lots and stuff like this. So X5 3-liter diesel would have been the best other offer we have, by the way. You can argue back and forth.
Yes.
This is of course a little bit more modern choice, but it was more also about the size, for example. And steering wheel is at the X5 not enable free yet. That was of course to be very, very also consistent in our message here.
And we don't pick the panoramic roof.
Yes.
Because
fixed roof, it just gets hot. Even if there is always the filter in the glass, these glass roofs, they just tend to get even a little bit hotter always. So then we thought, it's
looks
fine
cool like that, and
like
it's fine.
it is, and then the car doesn't really get hot in there. So this was then also the logical choice for us here. And once again, the other GLC would have been way more expensive. 5 Series, a little bit more expensive, also great offer. But then, as I said, the E-Class, they just want to have 13,000 euros upfront, whereas BMW has just the leasing rate, and that's it. And that's actually pretty cool. So we were kind of surprised that BMW has these great offers here at this moment. And then it was kind of like a no-brainer, especially because they still drive so well. There are also these new Chinese brands up, and they do great build quality in the interior. Even
and the
better.
infotainment is crazy good and fast.
Is good,
But driving is
this
really,
one's still
really
better.
Good.
So driving is really important to us.
Chinese cars are a little bit wobbly.
Yeah, from the driving experience.
From the chassis and so on.
Yeah, because they set it up for a lot of traffic.
Very comfort, driving,
in their cities and so on. And this one is still a driving machine, also, although it's an SUV, so that was...
to drive it!
Yeah, let's take it for a drive. And by the way, here, just a quick info, kilowatt-hour net battery is about 20 kilowatt-hours net. So we have 80 kilometers, so 50 miles, a realistic electric range with this one. Then, of course, the petrol tank together with it. And one more thing here. So we picked this matte wood here for the middle console. That's
I think it's
cool.
real wood, right?
I think it should be.
Feels like that, yeah.
Feels like that. One thing they do have to improve is, for example, here, material quality at the inside here. This has to be
very
better.
loud.
Come on, BMW, you know. So I do expect that.
And you have that here in the hand.
In the glove box.
Glove box, sorry.
Yeah. Why not having something like this at the inside of the middle console?
And
so,
inside of the door, yeah.
Yeah, and this one, yeah, exactly this, inside of the door and inside of the middle console, that is the next thing BMW has to improve. And here, when Leah is driving, she can also easily sit behind it. There are cars with, you know...
More space.
More space, definitely.
But you have enough space for adults.
Yeah, so it works when we also, you know, drive our friends or parents around or whatever. Here, also soft
here
edge.
it looks very nice.
Yeah, this is nice here also. So this one was just plain black plastic before.
Here it is a little bit cheap, I think.
Yeah, this is then the not high gloss black thing, because but I'm not sure what's better
Maybe
there.
With some light, then you.
Yeah, with more light you can see this. So this is the plain, but I'm not sure if the high gloss black here in the front is then actually better. Not sure about that. Oh,
manual sunblind.
Sunblind,
why not?
That's actually good. Yeah. But it's really cool that they have the soft touch here at the rear doors like that.
And
Harman sound system.
What that is.
Of course, we always go for the best sound system. Yeah, this one is, for example, also hard black plastic.
Yeah.
The smart #5 Brabus has that all the way covered in soft, by the way. But I mean, space still okay. And once again, you can see like the matching of the exterior paint and the seat color is, yeah, that's the best surprise for today, definitely.
Yes.
Maybe quickly at the trunk,
yes.
and we know. And then, of course, we also take it for a spin.
Can I open it with the key?
Oh, yes, of course. The Pro, Leah as a Pro, opens it here with the key fob. So here, what's missing here is definitely the remote unlock, because it doesn't have one.
And here the little step because of the battery, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So here you can see you cannot fold up this. Have some space here, for example, for like this dog net, let's call it that way, or like maybe for additional protection. But
there
here,
you can see it, yeah.
Ah, interesting. I haven't seen
we
X3
haven't seen
plug-in
that,
before,
right? Yeah.
so we always had the pure petrol this moment. So this a little bit higher here. Like this is a small step. I think you can live with that. It's fine.
It's fine.
Then you have to fold the seats from there, you know. Yeah. And then there's the shade or this cover. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, but definitely also like for our standard luggage, this will all be fine. And of course, not to forget, 6.2 seconds is the acceleration figure, at least when the battery is not empty. 300 horsepower total system output, and you charge it here in the front. This is actually a good thing for our basement garage, where we have the wall box exactly right here. So this is like a very short way then to plug it in there in the front. That's actually pretty cool. Most full electric vehicles have the charging port in the rear, also for other considerations and so on. And of course, it's also still all-wheel drive. And interesting is also that the electric drivetrain is basically like combined with the combustion engine. So no matter if you drive combustion engine or electric, you always have the same shifting. You know, so even when you drive it in the electric mode, you will have shifting. And that is, for some, it might be cool. Pure electric drivers might say that's maybe annoying. So it really depends. Oh, and Leah wants to do the door closing sound.
And now the BMW door closing sound. Listen.
Ah, that's nice.
That's nice. And the rear, of course.
There we go. Maybe even better in the rear, right?
Yeah.
And here, of course, the handles. These are the more classic handles. Manual. The iX3 has these new like flush folding in handles. So that is what I prefer here with the combustion engine version, definitely. Yes. All right, here we go. Now we
first
take
driving.
Yeah, it's not the very first driving because we want to get some experience first. And you see, we changed clothes. I got a new haircut. Yeah, it's 3 years later. No, just kidding. Just a couple of days.
I'm pregnant? No.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about doing that joke, but then I felt
really?
like, yeah, I was wanted to do the joke. Like, yeah, Leah gave birth meanwhile, son, but I didn't want to irritate the viewers. But then she went for the joke. Yeah. Good one. Yeah, so the thing was when we were finished at filming at the dealer, it was already dark and then it didn't look that well. Then it was raining all day the next day and so on and so on. But now, finally, a small driving part for you. And yeah, we are really excited because, I mean, yes, there has been a lot of criticism, especially about some interior parts of the X3. But honestly, it
driving
drives
is
so nice.
Yes.
So, and that was also one of the main parts. We just had the smart #5 Brabus, which is in the EV segment, very good offer. But they are also the different, and that was already a nicely driving EV, you know, but the driving here is so excellent, especially for an SUV.
Yeah.
You know, we took the 19-inch wheels to get a little bit more comfort. And it's not the softest suspension. We do have the adaptive suspension in here, so it's like full spec. But the driving is so nice. It's really calm also when you're standing here.
Especially in the corners. That's very nice, yeah.
It's very calm when you're
SUV,
standing. But driving, and like Leah often complains, and especially in some SUVs, that she gets sick. Passenger, but here
it's fine, yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really great. So it gives you so much confidence in driving. It's very smooth. Yeah, we don't have dual glazing at the windows, but it's still also on the motorway very silent in the drive, because the windows, yes, no dual glazing, but they're pretty thick, the windows, and that also makes it silent.
I'm in this car and I'm already sleepy. Really? Because it's so silent. That's crazy, yeah.
So always when I'm driving and I look over here, it's like... And yeah, that really speaks for the vehicle, not because it's like boring, because it drives sporty, you know, but really because that calms the passenger down. That's the thing.
But climate control would be cool here.
Yeah,
really.
Physical
when you
AC.
need to
and it's also far away, you know. So when I'm relaxed here in the seat, and then I'm reaching over here, I cannot. So that's also the reason why in the iX3 the screen is like here. That was their logic, like bringing the screen closer to the driver and the passenger, but then like the instruments further away. I think that's now we get the idea, you know. So, but both, you know, the X3 and the iX3, they drive really, really well. If you're interested in a direct comparison, iX3 versus X3, then tell us in the comments that we know if people are interested in that.
It's also interesting for us.
Yeah,
but maybe we want to change it to the iX3 then.
Yeah, after that, like when the lease is over, so there's still the thoughts. At this moment, really got to say that this one here comes way cheaper in the leasing than the iX3. Oh yeah,
press the set button.
to deactivate this
I'm
EU
always
speed,
like,
it's so easy here. Like just press and hold the set button, and then this speed chime thing is off.
When you do it. Thomas is always driving, and I don't know.
Sometimes I still forget, but it's super easy to do. He
doesn't hear it.
Yeah, and then great quality of the steering wheel, nice comfortable seats. We're also using seat heating, steering wheel heating, seat cooling. Of course, we'll use
and
in
we
summer.
love the color match from outside and inside.
Awesome.
It's awesome. When you open the door, and you're like, nice.
Yeah, and always like even when you look at the front hood. And then you look here, you know, at the middle console and see that it's so great to have this color match, you know, it's really emotional. I gotta say though that the fabric seats in the X3 we had in the test vehicle.
Maybe a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, maybe even a little more. They're really great. So,
but when you have kids or animals, then it's easier to wipe it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're thinking about going for a base X3 with these fabric seats, they are not available in the US or in Canada, but you get them in Europe, you can very well go for them.
Yeah.
That's also why we are thinking like in the iX3, if we would get one at some point, maybe Brooklyn gray exterior and then these gray fabric seats interior. Or here what you can do very well, like we had in the test vehicle spec, blue exterior and the gray fabric interior. That's all. Or again, the Brooklyn gray on the outside and then inside the gray fabric seats.
But the iX3 has no seat cooling.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. So maybe it's better with the fabric seats.
Yeah, exactly. When you have the fabric seats, they are better in the passive ventilation, so to speak, as long as there's no seat cooling in the iX3. But here we do have it, so we can also go for the Veganza seats here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So very happy with the comfort, very happy with the driving. Like everything feels so natural coming in this car, you know. So that's really cool. Besides, like maybe the no climate knobs thing. We're still struggling a little bit with this BMW ID thing, that the car recognizes who is driving and then loads the user settings. Now, when we entered the car, everything worked. So we're still...
Apple CarPlay and seat and mirrors. And,
So we're still struggling with it a little bit. What is like the best thing to set it up that the car always recognizes who enters the car? Maybe if you have some experience with that, please share it in the comments. Now it actually quite well worked. So we activated one option yesterday. Maybe that did the trick now, but we were like so far struggling with it a little bit. Is also interesting here with the electric consumption, because so far, honestly, we have not been driving long haul yet. So we were driving this vehicle so far all electric. We haven't
In
fueled
city,
it once. And also motorway up to like 142 kilometers an hour, something like that. So like around 80 to 90 miles an hour. It drives all electric very well. And
but there was this electric issue with the pedal.
Yeah, the thing is, there is one mode now, like electric only mode, and you can set it that it always starts in that, but you can also deactivate it. And so far in the older plug-in hybrids, when you pinned down the throttle, the combustion engine went on and you had the maximum power. When you have this electric only mode activated, then you can pin it down, but the petrol engine will not start. But you can also deactivate that option so that in case you need it, it does start. And we did that now because we had one situation where Leah needed, the girls, when they just want more power, Yeah, so that one, it will still drive electric when it can, but it's not that you have then this really like very hard fix for that, So that option we deactivate. So stuff like this, experience. But here we have under 24 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers for the pure electric consumption. That is not as efficient as the iX3 would be as a pure EV. But
not that bad for
like
an SUV.
Smart #5 Brabus, the pure EV was like at 27 in like the same kind of driving we did. So this is more efficient in the pure electric driving than the Smart #5 Brabus as a pure EV.
Yes.
Yeah, that the Smart is not a very efficient EV. That's kind of the thing.
No.
Yeah.
There. Still.
I have to go there. Yeah, but really quite efficient for the plug-in hybrid vehicle. I'm gonna say that, and it drives electric very well. It does do shifting.
And I love the turning indicator sound.
Turning in, and also like hammering in the turning indicators is awesome. The only thing I do not like in driving is because you have this shifting. The EV motor is integrated in the transmission.
Yeah, you feel that.
You sometimes have that. I mean, sometimes you think, it feels more natural and sporty, like like a car you're used to. However, when you're driving really slowly, like here now, and sometimes, let's say you're like maybe in second gear, then you're braking to the traffic light, and then let's see if I can. Now it didn't do it. So hard to reproduce, but sometimes it does it. That then shifts down.
A little jump.
And then you get a little jump. And that can be a little bit irritating. We also had it even with the M5 plug-in hybrid.
Yeah.
We talked about that. So I think this is something maybe BMW has to work on. But besides that, we're really happy. Yeah. So happy with the drive. Very happy with our pick. And since this lease...
Do you think that fits to us?
Yeah, tell us in the
comments. Yeah.
And the thing is, since this lease here doesn't go that long, we kind of have to start thinking again which is the next one. There's of course difference when you like buy and keep it. So it will definitely stay exciting here. So and of course, I'm always giving you the advice. I'm still looking forward to your feedback. What do you think here about our choice, and also what could be the next one? Maybe all electric or not, and which one. This will be still an exciting journey. And of course, we'll keep you updated here with our experience about the X3, because this is like more like a long haul pure customer experience. Looking forward to what nice or maybe also bad things we experience. Let's see about that.
Yeah.